Wow, guys, I didn't realize we went to Five Guys for lunch.
But that was good, Jeremy.
Should have told me.
And-
There's 5 Guys right down the block. Could have met up for
Damn,
our lunch, Jeremy. Had a really good time.
You didn't give us Five Guys? Come on, Zach.
I didn't even go
peanuts?
myself.
Oh.
I
Andy,
said,
why are you?
this was poor-
Andy,
this was-
what are
this
you
is
wearing,
a-
dude? Lift up, because
Kelly's
Why are you
Oubre
wearing a
Jr.
Wizards jersey?
All right.
we're not playing grid game,
came
dude.
prepared
Like this
for
is
it.
not. What?
You want to know
How
the
is this
real story
prepared?
Why I have this jersey?
Because we suck at talking about basketball. That's
Okay.
why.
Do you want to
Like-
know the second reason why I have this jersey?
Okay, what's the
So-
second reason? What's the second reason?
I don't know. Like, we needed a name for our rec basketball team like a couple years ago, and like the joke was that like every guy is like thinks Kelly Oubre Jr. is attractive. So we all got a bunch of Kelly Oubre Jr. Yeah,
He's a
I'd say
decent-looking
so.
man.
We all got a bunch of Kelly Oubre jerseys from all the teams he played for and played in the league wearing these. So I have it now.
So Suns, Charlotte Hornets,
Suns, Warriors, Wizards.
Warriors.
another
The,
one.
the Wizards one's got to be low.
There's another one. Yeah,
That one's
This
low
would
in the
be-
rankings there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, very, very low. Anytime you go on the Wizards, that's pretty much because that's like basically the Michael Jordan.
Well, hold on. John Wall is
phase.
respectable.
Okay. Well, speaking of Michael Jordan, the other one's Hornets.
Yes. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome guys to Cut the Net. Welcome guys to Cut the Nets.
That's low-key a hot take, but I agree with it.
I don't care, Barbara. If he can't throw a football, get him out
Barbara.
the game.
Be in a bad way, but they're playing like nitty gritty. Like
Brian, hit the gym board. Look at that.
This guy.
Yeah. No, I'll play. Like I'm saying that Jalen Brunson will play really well in the playoffs.
Oh, then yeah, I did misunderstand you.
Yeah, you misunderstood me. In his veins. You guys haven't been relevant since Cam Newton.
We're basketball podcasters. We're not Met Gala attendees, dude.
You know what's great though? The fact that Brian is over you. He's literally over you and literally looking down on you.
Was that necessary? Really? Do you feel better
so-
after having said that, Jeremy? Like, oh my God, we got embarrassed enough. Okay, I'll take the hat off. I'm sorry. My bad, guys. Here, I got a Vegas hat here. I'll put this one on. Always a great time at Cut the Nets, fellas.
Welcome, guys. We have a 5-man squad today for our NBA Finals preview of Cut the Nets. I guess we'll count this as episode 25. Speaking of 25, this is the Ben Simmons episode.
Reggie Bullock would have been better than that. He's 25, I think.
Okay, Vince Carter, sure, but hey, Ben Simmons.
Gail
We got to keep the parody going because Ben Simmons, number 1 overall pick, rookie of the year, multi-time All-Star.
Just wait till episode 27.
Out of the NBA.
Favorite one.
All right, well.
Favorite one.
We've got
was the
Matt,
episode?
we've got Brian, of course, my co-host. We've got Zach, we've got Andy. We've got a full squad of tea over here, guys, talking about the NBA Finals preview. And it's going to be, we're recording this today on Wednesday. It'll be tomorrow on Thursday for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Something we've all been waiting for. And interestingly, it's been a parody, honestly. We have the Denver Nuggets, who I said would never make an NBA Finals under Jokic because I always thought they were regular season MVPs, against the 8th seed Miami Heat, who were down by 3 points against the Chicago Bulls in the play-in tournament with 3.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And now, they're in the finals. Guys, what is with this parody in the NBA? Like, the basketball gods, are they just screwing with us?
Script writers deserve a raise. This is entertaining.
Well, everyone was complaining about parody for years in the NBA when the Cavs and Warriors were at their peak. So I feel like now this is just kind of that full circle of, okay, this is what you asked for, this is what you shall receive. Now you get the 8-seeded Nuggets, who are the first play-in team to make the finals, and
8-seeded Heat, you mean?
8-seeded Heat, excuse me, and the top-seeded Nuggets.
I was gonna say also this could be at the same time, like as cool as I think this is and as excited as I am for this finals, I very easily could see this being the lowest rated finals in a while at the same time.
I mean, it was the lowest rated finals in a while when the Heat were last in the finals and they were
The
in
Mickey
NBA
Mouse
bubble.
ring?
No, I'm kidding. Nobody has any sort of beef against the Miami Heat when they're in their finals. It was just of course,
COVID,
you're right, Andy.
Mickey Mouse chip, yeah.
Mickey Mouse chip, COVID, NBA bubble, Rachel Nichols,
How did we bring
Daniel
this up
House.
again? What is it like? If you like Rachel Nichols, that's fine. You don't have to impress that onto us.
Jeremy,
Every
shoot your shot on Twitter,
episode.
dude.
It's
Shoot
only
your
when
shot
I'm
on
here
Twitter.
too. I don't understand it.
Let's bring a little preview of what the Nuggets and Heat have been through in a regular season game. This happened way back in November of 2021. This was when it was just a regular season game, nothing really too much. I mean, the Heat were down by what, 16 or so points. It was 2 minutes left, so 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Heat still had their squad out and Bam Adebayo. He was in the paint, and the Nuggets were pretty much going to win this game. But for some reason, if we can get this video up.
Yep. No, this is it. Yeah, we're good.
This
You got
was a
this
while
play
ago.
here.
This was a while ago, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Wow, okay.
November 2021.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bam in
there
the
you go.
post, close out by Jokic. Nice closeout. But a Morris twin just decks Jokic, and then he gets paid. He gets a taste of his own medicine, and Jokic just completely catapults his back with his
He's
own.
never been the same after that.
With
I don't
his
even know
own.
what he's doing.
Never.
Specifically Markieff
Marcus
Morris.
Morris.
Markieff Morris.
Markieff Morris played 8 games in half a season for the Dallas Mavericks, and then he was on the cursed Brooklyn Nets.
So basically, if Jokic Serbian style punches you, your career is over.
Fair assessment.
Pretty
Jokic
much.
was just mad at those.
Especially
Jokic was
with
mad
the
at those
Heat.
jerseys. That's
The
what he was retaliating them for wearing those horrendous Heat jerseys.
Yeah, it's like the Serbian Mario jumping for that coin. That's what Jokic did.
You have
Yeah.
to be a certain type of you have to have a certain type of chutzpah to really go after a 6'11" Serbian man as just big and thick as Jokic. I got to be honest with you. I God bless him, because I definitely don't have the
And
gall to
Jokic
do
just
so.
got a posse.
I would literally be unconscious and probably die
In that order.
if I
Yeah.
got punched like that. I'm 5'7".
Jokic just got a posse with him too.
A nice little
He's got like his brothers that come around with him who are also like his size. And so you're not only going up against him like during the game, but after the game, like his brothers could come in, just do like a 3-man tag.
Can we
team.
pull up that photo of the Heat?
Yeah, speaking
of
of
Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, their response to this?
Yeah, Kyle Lowry was like Aaron Gordon with all this going on. Like, come meet me outside. Like, meet me in the locker room. I think Jimmy Butler even said, like, or someone said the hotel they were staying at. Yeah, it was like Jimmy Butler or something. That honestly looks like an album cover. Like, that's
I love
a
it,
pretty
dude.
tough
It
picture,
looks.
not gonna
It's a
lie.
nice little still.
Yeah,
You guys like what? Do you guys watch Bar Rescue? The guy standing in front looks like John Taffer.
Yeah, he does.
Blocking them
just a
off.
little bit, yeah. But no, it's got a nice touch. The composition of this photo is fantastic. I love how the players are in focus. You got the guy just slightly out of focus. And the look from Kyle Lowry, that really makes it for me.
Honestly, it looks like film stock, like for a
little
film
bit.
TV poster, or like
Well, who's
maybe
that
you,
dude in the? Who's that dude in the back with the towel over his head? He looks ready to go.
Believe that's
That's,
Dwayne
um,
Dedman.
Yeah,
Dwayne
that's his
Dedman.
I
name.
was gonna say,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Dwayne
Dwayne Dedman.
oh
no
damn,
longer on the
Dwayne
team.
Dedman.
Yeah, no longer on the team.
And you
Yeah.
can't see Morris's face, but you can definitely tell he's ready to go.
Is he there, or is he getting?
Yeah,
medical
he's
treatment at
that.
point?
He's like that guy blocked off by the bar rescue. lookalike.
There's obviously a reason why he's blocked off though.
I don't
That
know.
guy's
That's
head is
his-
bright as hell.
I just think this says a lot about the Heat, man. Like this photo just in itself was just like, yeah, this team's not going to back down against anybody. So
Junkyard
that's, like,
dogs.
the main
whatever you wanna
takeaway.
call 'em.
They're a brotherhood.
And that will be with the NBA Finals. So right off the bat, guys, I've said this before. Back when the Celtics were playing the Heat, I said this to Matt. Hey, on paper, the Celtics should win this series. On paper. On paper, the Nuggets should win this series and become the first NBA champions for the first time in franchise history. They should. They should. Can I
One
say
more
they
time.
should
There
again?
you go.
Because they fucking should. Like, the Heat are so undersized compared to Jokic and Gordon. And like, those are pretty much the two twin towers in the paint blocking it. And then the tallest player they have is Bam Adebayo. And then you have Cody Zeller and Kevin Love as backup bigs. Like, come on. No. You like, what happens when Bam gets into foul trouble? How do they
Haslam
even
time.
defend Jokic at all?
He's 55.
Haslam?
He's gonna
Yeah.
go in there and
Yeah.
lock him up, dude. I'm telling you.
Lock him up,
Dude,
telling him bedtime stories?
He was alive when I think Bill Russell was playing, so he probably knows a thing or two from him. You guy's old. I don't know what the Heat are gonna do.
disrespect aside, that's actually going to be a key, one of the key matchups this series. How Bam Adebayo plays against Nikola Jokic, and whether or not the Heat, how often the Heat are going to attack him with double teams. Because as you said, Jeremy, they're undersized. So
completely undersized. I mean, with Anthony Davis, he couldn't defend Jokic at all. Like Jokic had I think it was a 61 or 62 true shooting percentage against Davis when it was 1-on-1. And there were so many shots where I was like, oh, there's no freaking way that's getting in. Jokic, just the way he shoots the ball is over his head. You can't even see the ball when you're shooting it if you're shooting like Jokic, and it still goes in, and it's butter. I love Mark Jones, by the way. Side topic: Mark Jones. He's 60 something, yet he says a bunch of Gen Z related meme stuff in his play-by-play.
He feels so hip.
It's
know
awesome.
He does.
But yeah, it's butter. It's totally butter. Exactly, Zach. 62.9 true shooting percentage. Insane. Especially against the best defender in these playoffs in AD. Yes, he is the best rated defender in these playoffs. We want to fact check me on that?
Oh, actually, yeah, because in that series, Vanderbilt did the best on Jokic in a small sample size.
A small sample size. You gonna fact check me on that, Zach?
I am on StatMuse now. I've got the.
They also defended him
regular
pretty
season
well
and
when
playoffs.
they switched. I think it was game 2 when they switched Rui Hachimura on him, and Anthony Davis was kind of playing more of a linebacker or I guess a free safety when he was in the paint. Yeah, but
Help defense.
again, the Nuggets still won that game, and you didn't really stop him. You just kind of slowed him down. And then, sure, you shut Jokic down. That fellow Jamal Murray's averaging how many points this playoffs? Over 30, I think, or at least the last series he did.
He's like
Honestly,
Jamal
though,
Jordan.
back to Bubble Murray. I mean, I wouldn't even call him Bubble Murray anymore. I think he's just showing that this is what he's capable of in clutch situations. He's insane.
In these playoffs, oh no, that's career. But these playoffs, we have Jared Vanderbilt with a 109.4 defensive rating, and Anthony Davis. These playoffs had a 101.9.
Yeah, I think back to what Jeremy was saying about the paper stuff, and he was right.
I was right. I'm sorry. I know.
But what he was saying about the on paper stuff,
Okay.
Not an Eric fact.
translating to this series, Bam's gonna have to be so good on defense for them. He's gonna have to be not only stay out of foul trouble, but he's gonna be the main his type of. I don't think he's the greatest rim protector. He sure gets a lot of blocks, but he's not the roamer. He does match up and switch onto guards really well, and so for him to stay out of foul trouble is going to be key. And I think one of the tools that really embarrassed the Celtics and has embarrassed them for a couple of years is when the Heat go zone. It's really thrown the Celtics out of whack. I don't know if going zone against the Nuggets works. Jokic is Jokic is a zone breaker and is gonna be able to sit at the free throw line, not only hit those shots but also distribute with everyone they have around them. So I think there's a couple tricks that Miami usually does against teams that might not work, but I mean, I'm not going to stand up here and doubt the Miami Heat right now. I don't know if any of you are. This is I wouldn't doubt any of the things that they could do. They might go out there with some crazy lineup. They might throw out 2 centers, Zeller and Bam, and just, who knows? Spoelstra has endless amounts
That's
of
some really bad spacing. That's hella bad spacing.
It could work.
You have to try
You never
something.
know.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you, Matt, there. The Heat have played as the best team in these playoffs, while the Denver Nuggets have been the deepest team. So you've got the team that's played the most cohesive game, so to speak, going up against a team that can probably match them and even go deeper than them on the bench. The Heat are going to need contributions from everyone. Every one of those undrafted free agents that Jimmy Butler called his teammates. Caleb Martin, when I say that, I don't mean to be offensive. He literally said when they were referred to as role players post-game, he stopped the reporter and said, those are not role players, they are my teammates. So no shade thrown there. But Caleb Martin needs to show up big. Max Strus needs to show up big. Duncan Robinson needs to continue being there. And we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting finals, to say the least.
I'll add just a little stat here, and it's not a Caleb Martin stat, because if I look at another Caleb Martin stat, I might die actually. But this is for the playoffs. The 5-man lineups, the net rating for the Denver Nuggets in over 275 minutes, which is ridiculous. They are in almost a plus 10 net rating in the playoffs. That's first by far. And then the Heat are at 6.9, which is second, and they've played 175 minutes together. So these two teams are
Nice.
by far right now the best net rating in the playoffs. And they've played, their starting lineups have really, really worked well together. So regardless of, I guess, like some of the matchup stuff we're looking at, the just the units themselves are playing the best basketball out of anybody, and it's a reason they're there.
I know the Heat are probably going to go small ball as much as they can. They're going to try to rely on the three as much as they can. I mentioned in the last episode podcast that the Nuggets opponents in the Wolves, the Suns, and the Lakers, all their opponents were not really three-point shooting teams. I would say the Wolves were the best three-point shooting team opponent against the Nuggets. And because, you got the Suns, who are mid-range gods, and Booker and Durant and Chris Paul with the mid-range. You didn't really have anybody shooting the three-pointer except maybe Cameron Payne whenever he gets hot.
Nothing crazy, yeah.
And Torrey Craig. But Torrey Craig lost steam after the second game in the semifinals. So if you lose Torrey Craig, you can't shoot threes at all. I mean, Booker can shoot the three here and there in KD, but KD had his worst series probably almost at least in a long time in his career. I guess don't count the Lakers. The Lakers didn't really have any three-point shooting barrage either. I mean, they had D'Angelo Russell who played poorly in the series. You had
Reeves.
I mean,
Yeah.
Reeves, who was probably their best three-point shooter, and LeBron had one good game, which was Game 7 from behind the arc, but didn't capitalize in the third and fourth quarter, having only 9 points compared to 30 or 31 in the first half. And with this Heat team, it'll probably change the Nuggets' defensive mechanisms pretty quickly. They'll probably realize, hey, look at Caleb Martin, look at Gabe Vincent, look at Max Strus. Jimmy Butler can shoot three when he's hot. They have a lot of shooters, a lot of spacers on the court, and they'll probably try to get Jokic up at the wing for a mismatch as much as they can, so they'll keep Jokic out of the paint. But the Nuggets have weapons. They got Aaron Gordon. They have Christian Braun. They have a lot of really good weapons in the paint to sort of mask Jokic's defensive liabilities, especially on the wing. So it's going to be really difficult for the Nuggets to sort of make adjustments. I would also like to see how the Heat continue to utilize their spacing against them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys all brought up a bunch of great points. I mean, like Zach said, the Heat have been kind of this alpha dog. Like Jeremy said, they had no reason to win the series, but you know what? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog, and the Heat have really been that. They were an 8 seed. First 8 seed to reach the finals since the Knicks in 1999, my New York Knicks. But you know what? The Heat are even a fake 8 seed. They're really the 7 seed, but we got this play-in stuff now, so they were the 8 seed. But they earned it. I think Matt also brought up a great point that the Bam Adebayo versus Nikola Jokic series or matchup is going to be the biggest part of the series. I mean, Jokic has a 2-inch, almost 30-pound difference between the two. Bam's at 6'9", 255. Nikola Jokic is at 6'11", 284. That's going to be a huge matchup. Like Zach said, how is kind of Eric Spoelstra and the Heat going to game plan around Jokic and company? I mean, Spoelstra is one of the greatest coaches of all time. It's criminal. He doesn't have a coach of the year. I think it's the third time I've said this, but I really do believe it. Maybe you see them double-team Jokic. He's shooting 38% when double-teamed in the playoffs as opposed to 63, 64% when he's not. So I think that's just going to be another great series or another great matchup. So it's really excited. But also want to say, Andy, welcome back, man. I'm glad you're back from your Cancun trip. You look a little tanner, actually. So I'm glad you're back. Good to see you back. Matt, you're done shipping up to Boston. Boston 4 sports are over. The Red Sox are in last. Patriots didn't make the playoffs. Boston and both Celtics and Bruins lost. I'm glad you're back. Good to see you.
Shout out the city of Boston, the first city to lose 2 home game 7s in the same season. Okay.
I can't believe I'm supporting the
Legendary
Boston fan right
stuff.
now. You guys are dicks, all right? What the hell? All right?
Listen,
Brian and I
happens.
are Yeah, we are geographically
Hey,
predispositioned.
at
towards
least you
hating Boston.
guys aren't Rockets, lowly Rockets.
I'd rather
fans.
have a bite at the apple
but
every
hey,
year. Okay.
We're coming back. We're coming back. Hey, we're stealing your coaches,
I
Matt.
didn't know we had any assistant
We're
coaches.
assistant
to
coaches.
give. Like what assistant coaches are you taking from the Celtics?
The
Like,
water boy.
We're taking an assistant coach who changed Derek White's
Ben-
3-point
I will
shooting
say that I
percentage.
did look into it. Ben Sullivan, the guy with the beard and the bald head, is a very
Yeah.
very good assistant coach. He worked for the Bucks, I think
Yeah.
too, a couple years ago. So yeah, that one hurts. But like, kick us while we're down, I guess.
I'm already down, dude. I'm punching up. I'm not punching down. Like I'm literally like the small guy, the little guy on the team.
I mean, I would love.
So,
we can
me-
dig into it deeper if you want to. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Brown now? Do you want Jaylen Brown still?
I don't want him. No, dude, the Boston Celtics are going to spend, if they take Jaylen Brown and, of course, Jason Tatum's contract, they're going to have over $600 million in
$693
salary,
million.
near $700 million in salary for the next 5 years.
For
They're
a
not.
guy
They're
that
not
had
going to
8
take.
turnovers in a playoff game. I could do
Exactly.
that with half his contract.
But the fact that he's got All NBA honors right now for his first time in his career, that makes his trade value a lot higher. I don't want these Rockets. I don't want Raphael Stone dipping into that. Maybe if Jaylen Brown didn't get All NBA honors, I would have been like, okay, let's sort of debate, maybe like delegate what kind of trade package we can have to get Jaylen Brown and also keep some of our assets that we need. But now we got to give up like Tari Eason. We got to give up KJ Martin, probably the 4th pick in the draft this year. Future first rounders, like that is not going to happen. It will happen, but I don't want it to happen. I just don't. It's going to happen because the Rockets are going to get greedy. They're going to want Jaylen Brown. They're going to want James Harden. And since they didn't get the top 2 pick in the draft, that's what they're going to do. Ideally, what they should do is trade up for the 2nd pick and get Scoot Henderson. But look, I've been a sad Rockets fan for the last 3 seasons. Hell, for the last decade since James Harden's playoffs woes continue, even after being a Rocket for the last decade. And this is what we get, really? Like, you're going to give it to the Spurs? You basketball gods? I mean, I like the fact that Charles Barkley is going to have San Antonio moments again. But,
Eat them churros.
you're going to give it to these Spurs, these lowly Spurs in San Antonio?
I mean, they suck
No.
too, Jeremy.
It's not fair. Yeah, but think of the first overall pick. They have a generational player.
And Jeremy, I'm going to say this now. You absolutely shouldn't want the Rockets to make that trade with the Celtics because the way you
don't.
described it, it reminds me a lot of this other trade that happened about 10 years ago at this point, where the Nets traded for KG and Paul Pierce
Jason
and
Terry.
who else did they get? Jason Terry, yeah.
That
and they
is
gave up.
not. No, I'm going to cut you off there. That's not. No, that is not in any
That is
way
how they-
equivalent.
That is how
No,
the Celtics built.
Jaylen
the
Brown
roster
is
that they
26 years old.
45. Not
Yeah.
actually, but
That's
Yeah.
fine. The ages are
Jaylen
different,
Brown is still
but
great. He's still really good.
The
He just
comparison here is that is how Boston built the team they have now by scamming
Exactly.
a team that was down low and selling them a star and giving away a
And
bunch of
also-
first round draft picks. That
And
is
he'll be on the
conference.
Rockets, and he'd be on the Rockets, so he'd have 8 turnovers in a play-in game instead of a conference final for Houston.
perfect resume for the Rockets.
all they got to do is bring Silas
Perfect.
back.
Even
and then we're
worse
good.
than actually. Oh my god! After
And
firing
Eric
him,
Gordon.
I'm actually cool with that.
Did Kevin McHale have a role in this at all, or am I just going way too far?
No, he did not.
That's like Tracy McGrady Rockets.
I'm
You know
glad
what?
he
You need
didn't.
Mike D.
Honestly, look,
Ooh,
hot
nice.
take though. I wish the Rockets didn't fire Kevin McHale after going like a 3-4 record in the 2016 season. He took the Rockets, who didn't deserve to be in the Western Conference Finals, to the Western Conference Finals. Came back down 3-1 against the Clippers in 2015. Like that,
Did he have issues with Dwight Howard or James
Probably
Harden?
yes. Yeah.
probably both.
Probably yes. Yeah.
Plus, I think Daryl
Probably
came in
both.
at that point, and Daryl was like, "I want
Yeah.
Mike D."
And took over and put
JB,
JB
yeah.
Bickerstaff, who wasn't the coach that he was now, but it's Andy, nice. But he was not that great of a coach when he was the interim. That's why we got rid of him after that season and got Mike D'Antoni. Let's transition into y'all's predictions of the NBA Finals. So based on what we've all said, let's go with Zach, and then we'll go around, and then we'll do my pick too.
It all kind of depends, and I think the big, aside from what we've talked about, the big things are, when will Tyler Hero be back? He's not coming back for Game 1. He's targeting Game 3. His return it gives the Heat another member that they can run whatever rotation that they figure out works with. And number 2, Jimmy Butler versus Aaron Gordon is going to be, aside from Bam Adebayo versus Nikola Jokic, that's going to be the matchup to focus on. Because Jimmy Butler is absolutely going to have to do everything he possibly can to get these Heat to win, in order to lead these Heat to a championship. I'm going to go... It really does feel like this series is a lot closer than it looks on paper. I'm going to have to go, I guess, Nuggets in 5 or 6.
Huh.
I still think they're the better team. I think Nikola Jokic is probably the best player that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. Of that, he's been the best player in the NBA. Hasn't really been close. He should have won MVP this year. Embiid won it because he...
Narrative.
Time for this. But I digress. Best player, Jamal Murray, has been the perfect number 2, the perfect complementary piece. And with those two on fire, I don't see the Heat overcoming them.
All right. I'm with Zach, but I also want to add on to it a little bit more. I think that I hate this narrative, Nuggets in 5, like it's not going to be close. The Heat are going to get gentlemen swept. There's a reason they belong here. They don't have the best roster, simply put. They have one of the greatest coaches in this era. They have one of the greatest all-around two-way players in this era, Jimmy Butler. They have undrafted guys that are just balling out, and I'm not going to disrespect them by their role because honestly, Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent are doing way more than what should have been asked by them. They're getting Tyler Hero, one of the best catch-and-shoot shooters, back hopefully around Game 3. With that being said, I still got the Nuggets in 6 though, but I think this series, and Zach kind of alluded to, it's going to be a dogfight. This is gonna be a physical series. You saw the last time these two teams match up, or not the last time, but you saw what happened with Nikola Jokic and Markieff Morris. Jimmy Butler, obviously, he's willing to get scrappy. He bumped heads with Grant Williams in the conference finals in Game 1. This is gonna be a dogfight. I think the Jimmy Butler versus Aaron Gordon matchup is gonna be another great matchup. Aaron Gordon has a vendetta against the Miami Heat, guys. He really does. He got screwed, and I'm saying it. He got screwed over the dunk contest against Derrick Jones Jr. Little Heat bias. Dwayne Wade gave Aaron Gordon a 9 out of 10 dunk for one of the best dunks I've seen in my short lifetime.
Do you think people hold that grudge still?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it caused Aaron Gordon to write a diss track on Dwayne Wade about it.
Which we'll listen to later. We're not there yet.
But
stay tuned,
right.
guys.
All right. My bad. I thought I was saying that perfectly. But
You're so
ready.
close, guys.
That'll be in the outro. That's going to be in the outro. We're still...
All right, my bad. All right.
We're half an hour in, guys.
So on that note, then, I got Nuggets in 6. I think, like Zach also mentioned, they have one of the deepest rosters in the league. I think that Miami just a 2-win shorter, 30-pound-less Bam Adebayo won't be able to contain Nikola Jokic, even if you double-team him. He's one of the best passers at his size of all time. They got Jamal Murray, who's balling out, and he really does, kind of like Jimmy Butler, play his best basketball in the playoffs as opposed to the regular season. I think he's averaging 8 more points per game in the playoffs than he does in the regular season, while shooting tremendously better. Aaron Gordon's doing great. Michael Porter Jr. is doing great. Christian Brown looked like a scrawny white boy that doesn't belong in basketball. He's been doing great. Bruce Brown, one of the best versatile defenders. He's doing great. Ish Smith is doing great. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, when I thought he was washed, he got something to prove. And Mike Malone, yes, I'm talking about Eric Spoelstra, and now he's one of the greatest coaches in this era. Mike Malone is also a very great coach that I feel like doesn't get enough recognition outright. But so I got the Nuggets in 6. Jokic, yeah, Embiid can have the little poverty MVP. Jokic is going to win a ring. Butler, you should have touched that conference final champion because you're not going to touch the next one.
Damn!
I'm sorry. This is Jokic's championship to lose.
Oh, okay. Nice. And you were on the Heat side too, and now you're
so bad
switching
for-
sides, Brian. I
Team
feel like
minister.
I feel like You're being a little bit of a Benedict Arnold, Brian. Honestly,
Well, because I hate
feel
the Celtics. I hate Boston sports. That's why. Listen, I love Butler and I want him to get a ring, but they also beat my team. So
it seems like you're being a little realistic, yet also biased at the same time with your take.
I mean, because Butler, like, I think has to win it now. Like Devin Booker had to win it against Milwaukee, or Chris Paul had to win it against Milwaukee. I think this could be Butler's chance.
Butler's got like 3 or 4 good years in him, I would say. He's
Yeah,
33 years old.
Will he really be like the alpha dog of the East? Where like
He's Michael Jordan's son. He'll do it. Michael Jordan was 36 when he won his last finals. Butler can do it.
All right. I mean, I hope.
Maybe not this year.
I love Butler.
Maybe next year or the year after that. But he's a Heat for life.
All right. But I still got Nuggets in 6. I think.
Okay. Matt, before you set off to Cancun, what is your take?
Jeez. Well, my gut is telling me Nuggets, but my gut's been wrong for a while. I mean, I had the Bucks and the Grizzlies in the finals at the beginning of the playoffs, so my gut's been wrong all this time. I mean, I think all of you have had great takes on like for both sides. I just like can't get out of my head that the Heat are like banked in to get 2 wins. It's just like they somehow, even if they play like a bad game, they have like just give them 2 wins in the series. That may be all they get, but they're gonna get 2. They're gonna find a way to get something like that. So I think this at least goes 6. The only way Miami wins is I think Jimmy does have to go like Super Saiyan. He has to be 5-6 games of 30+ points for them to win. And other than that Bucks series, there has been a couple games, and one of them was due to in the Knicks series when he hurt himself. But has been a couple games in each of the last 2 series where he has fallen off, has had a bad shooting game, or hasn't had the same sort of energy and lift. And so I think if that carries over to this series, I just think Denver has too much talent for Jimmy not to have like 5-6 consecutive games of having to be great to lift Miami up. So that's really what I'm settling on. The interplay between games, the changes. Miami's going to probably switch up their lineup every game. They're going to give a new look to Denver every game, which is going to be really fun to see and fun to watch. Their shooters are going to be running around, trying to make Denver and their bigs catch up to them as much as possible, which is going to be really fun. And I hope Jokic has an all-time series. I hope he puts a stamp on his MVP season and delivers like a great all-time performance that we can look back on and be like, this is what like an example of an MVP season. That's like one of the ones we're going to look towards. And I guess the last thing I'll say is I think the coaching stuff is going to be really close. I think Mike Malone this series could really make a big name for himself and have some really like good moments against Spoelstra. So that I'll settle on Nuggets in 6.
All right, so Brian brought this up first, and then Matt was just touching on it now. This is going to be a coaching masterclass on both sides. These 2 coaches are 2 of the 4 longest tenured coaches in the NBA right now. I tweeted that on Back Sports Page Twitter. Go follow us. Links in the description.
By the way, guys, Andy is our Back Sports Page basketball social media manager, so check out his awesome tweets. They're really funny, and they are very entertaining, and also
I like to think so. Graphic design is my passion. It's just me and MS Paint doing this, but it works out. Yeah.
Shout out to Matt. Or not
shout out to Matt, too.
Shout out to Andy.
He doesn't do the Twitter stuff I do, so thanks, guys. Yeah. Back to what we were talking about. This is going to be a coaching masterclass on both sides. I think, Spoelstra has the more postseason experience and success, but Mike Malone, he's one coach in the past. He has this Denver Nuggets team playing at a top seed. He's had them playing, top 3 seeded basketball for the past 3 or 4 years. There's a reason they've been able to do that. Obviously, having the league MVP, who should have won it this year, but 2 of the last 3 years, having it on your team is definitely going to help. But, they don't consistently play that way. They have such a consistent and what's the word I'm looking for? They just the way they find success is just so they're able to replicate it, game in and game out. They win it through their depth, through their ability to score in the paint, from the outside, and defend basically all 3 levels of the floor, no matter who's playing them. So, with that being said, we've said how many times Nuggets win this on paper. The game's not played on paper. The Miami Heat have been defying expectations this entire time. I doubted them in the first series, the second series, the third series. It stops here. Nuggets are going to take this in 4 games. They're going to end it. They're going to end it in Miami in game 4.
A sweep.
They are too strong, too deep.
A sweep.
I don't see how they can match up to both Jokic and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. if he continues to shoot that he's been doing. Brian kind of already did this, but then you add in Bruce Brown, you add in Christian Brown, you add in Uncle Jeff Green, who's been playing really well. You add in the rest of the guys that they have on their team. Shoot, maybe even DeAndre Jordan gets in a game and throws down a dunk like he's still in Los Angeles. Probably not, because he's like 45 and about to go on AARP benefits or whatever. But the point remains, this Denver team is too stacked top to bottom. They're playing at too high of a level. They play a basketball, a type of basketball that you can easily replicate day in and day out. They're winning the series in 48.
For my take, if Butler has a bad shooting night, but his entire supporting cast is playing fast, getting open shots at the wing, you got, of course, Strus, Martin, Vincent. I think Kevin Love will probably be in there in the mix a little bit this series. By the way, Kevin Love's like 5th time in the finals, and every single time he's been in the playoffs, he's been in the finals. Just
go Cavs.
Throwing that out there. All y'all are saying Nuggets, I know, but if the Heat play fast and they play smart and they get Jokic out of the paint for the majority of their plays, if they do well on the mismatches, I'm seeing the Nuggets.
I knew you were going to do that to us. There you go.
Nuggets in 7. It'll be a dogfight game. Take a long look at Gabe Vincent this series. A long look at it. I think he will go off this series. That'll be, Butler's going to do good. They're going to focus a lot on Caleb Martin with Bruce Brown and Jamal Murray on him, as well as KCP. And KCP is a very good 3-and-D defender. So expect Caleb Martin to kind of lose steam after going really, just pretty much playing his best basketball of his small career against the Celtics, undrafted. The Nuggets probably they're definitely the better team on paper, but I think they'll get the Celtics treatment as if who wants the game more. This is the first time the Nuggets have been to the finals in their entire franchise. This is the second time in the last four years that Miami has been to the finals. And they took the Lakers, who were really good, against LeBron, who was on the tail end of his prime, and Anthony Davis, who was lights out great on the Lakers in the bubble, along with KCP, who was also on the team, fun fact. And the Lakers took them in 6.
And Butler had, let's not forget, Bam
Amazing.
Adebayo went down in Game 1 that series. Goran Dragic went down in Game 1. That was not a healthy Miami Heat team. Jimmy Butler carried them.
They
to
took
Game
them
6.
into and the Lakers were unstoppable that season. They, even though it was a bubble, they were still the first seed before the COVID lockdowns. Don't count this. I think the Nuggets will win, but they won't win easily. It's going to go 7 games. I'm going Nuggets in 7.
I have such a strong feeling Miami wins Game 1, and we're all just looking at this podcast being like, oh my God, not again. Not again.
Dude, I've been wrong a lot, especially these playoffs. I've been really wrong. Just absolutely wrong. The only time I was right was Emmanuel Quickly scoring 30-plus points against the Rockets.
It feels different when Miami proves you wrong, because the way that they carry themselves beforehand, it's like, oh, you're an idiot for not believing them. The confidence that they have is just ridiculous.
That's why I'm giving them Nuggets in 7. I'm giving them 3 wins.
Carrying that energy, Jeremy, do you want to tell us how many points do the Nuggets win Game 7 by? Is this a close game? On a scale of the Suns versus Mavs in Game 7 last year, is it closer to that? Or are we looking at kind of Game 6 between Celtics and Heat where, a Derek White putback wins it?
I think the Nuggets blow them out in the last game. The Heat lose their team energy after Game 6.
So 20, 30
They're not
points?
well rested.
Yes.
They're definitely not going to be well rested in time for tomorrow.
They're not. No. However, the Nuggets, if you don't play basketball on TV for a week, you also will get rusty as well.
Some people say.
The Nuggets,
or the other way around.
Yeah. So the Nuggets are well rested. Haven't played in over a week. The Miami Heat, how you have a sprained ankle and it doesn't really hurt until you stop playing. That's the Miami Heat right now. The Nuggets have been resting, and it's like going to the gym after not working out for a week and a half. You get sore. So that also has that into play. But also, like I said before, the Nuggets haven't been to the finals in their 47-year career until now. So, and the Heat have been in finals quite several times in their franchise history. And veteran experience does lead to that. however the Nuggets have been in the playoffs every single year since 2019.
Something like that. Yeah.
I want to say. Yeah. So it'll definitely be a coaching matchup too. Mike Malone is a great coach. Eric Spoelstra, as Brian said, is one of the best coaches in the NBA ever. So it'll be definitely a coaching matchup as
I
well.
mean, probably right now they're probably the first and second best, and then whatever order you want to put them in. I'd say Spoelstra's probably the best, and Malone's too, in my opinion, of the entire league.
Yeah. This is also the first time a 1 seed and 8 seed have played against each other in the finals.
Who did the Knicks play in '99?
The Spurs, but they weren't the 1 seed.
The David Robinson Spurs. There you go.
Well, that was
David Robinson, Tim Duncan.
And
young
old ass
Tim
David
Duncan.
Robinson. Yeah.
rookie year, Tim Duncan. Yeah,
Second year.
Robinson was like 33, I think.
Second year Tim Duncan.
Yeah. Let's go to some news for the NBA. Let's go to the fact that the Pistons are looking to sign Monty Williams as the head coach for their season next year. What are y'all's takes on this? I don't know if this is really a good move for Monty Williams. I mean, Monty's a good coach. I just feel like the Pistons need someone that is willing to take another couple of rebuilding years to sort of get them set and ready for the playoffs. Kind of like a Steven Silas like type coach. I don't think Monty Williams is really. I mean, he was with the Suns before they became playoff contenders, but I don't know. Is this would be great for Detroit, but will it be good for Monty Williams?
Yeah, like I mentioned in our basketball group chat, I thought it was actually disagreeing with you here, Jeremy. Sorry, man, but I think it's going to be a good move for both. I liked the way that Monty Williams coached the Suns team before they got big. I remember in the leading up to that bubble run, he kind of empowered that younger team before they got CP3 and of course Durant this year, and kind of was looking more championship aspirations. So I think if he can sort of bring that energy, because I mean I think Dwayne Casey is a good coach and kind of got a raw end of the stick from his time in Toronto after getting fired from winning Coach of the Year, which is like an all-time thing to put on your resume. But he came to this Pistons team, and I think he was looking for a playoff team, and had to deal with injured Blake Griffin and rebuilding stuff year after year. So I think his coaching style was great, but I don't think he was like the right sort of like temperament for that team. Monty Williams seems a little bit more like their vibe, their style. They seem like they want to get up and down the court, sort of that run and gun type of stuff, and I think he'll be better suited for that. And maybe he can give some guidance to their future stars. I think Cade Cunningham and Ivy are going to be a good backcourt still. They still have their pick this year. They could add another guy to that. Maybe they make a splash and trade some guys. I know they got some cap space and some roster moves they can move around. So I think there's some options with the Pistons, and that maybe is why Monty looked there instead of because it seems like the Bucks job's already.
They haven't signed.
Oh
him
yeah,
yet,
not signed him, but like gonna make a big offer.
Yeah.
I saw that was the thing, but maybe that's why there's some traction going there. Is their ideas sort of line up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's when you say that the Monty Williams kind of coached a young squad in the Suns before Chris Paul and Kevin Durant and other veteran leadership came in. The Suns were in turmoil for like the last 7 years after the Steve Nash era, and then you got Devin Booker coming in as a mid-first rounder in I believe 2015, and he was on the come up. Like every single year, he got better and better and better, and including that 70-point game against the Celtics. I think Monty kind of saw that untapped potential that Booker could utilize and play well against other veteran players. So I think that's why it was a better spot for him after those like several years of growing pains for Phoenix Suns fans and the Suns organization. For the Pistons, yeah, they haven't been relevant since the Chauncey Billups or Rasheed Wallace days. I'm I would not even argue that they haven't been good since Andre Drummond days because they weren't even that great. They were an 8 seed like a couple times. I just think they need a little bit more time. If Williams is willing to, if they do sign Williams, and he's willing to put in the time and effort to getting some reps with this team, this really young team, you have to also factor those injuries too. I mean, Cade Cunningham's been hardly able to showcase his talent at all in the NBA yet, and as a first overall pick. Jaden Ivey had a decent season. He's supposed to be a volume shooter, really good scorer. Also, the Pistons got the short end of the stick by getting the 5th overall pick. After 14% best odds compared with the Spurs, Hornets, and Rockets. So don't make me laugh, Brian. Stop doing that shit. I don't know. I just think it's too early. They're jumping the gun and getting Monty Williams. I think they should probably get someone in house for this. So,
I think that's a fair take. I mean, when you think about like coaches that have been hired to an organization and like they were able to grow it into something, I guess. Because how long was Monty Williams in Phoenix? What was his first year? Does anybody know off the top of their head? Okay, so he was there kind of when they were turning the corner, I'd say, right? When they started becoming something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So, when I think of coaches that like got to a spot and then like were there for a little bit, that they had the long leash and like really built into something. I think of like Brett Brown from Philly. Granted, they sucked when he got there, and they weren't like a full-blown like finals contender, but they were there. Like they were competitive. They were a good team. Obviously, he wasn't there the past couple of years, but like he was with them from the start. Does Detroit have like pieces that I'm not comparing them exactly to this Philly team, but like Philly had something to start with, right? They were trusting the process. They were processing. They had all those picks. Wasted a couple of them on Jahlil Okafor and Markelle Fultz, but that's not the important part. Do you think that Detroit with, they have Cunningham, and they have Jaden Ivey, and whatever piece they decide to get at number 5, whether it's like one of the Thompson twins or whoever might follow them there, does Monty Williams see that he could potentially build that into them? And is that what Detroit's trying to get out of that? Is that supposed to be their guy long-term? Will they build into something? I don't know. Do we think Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey are like going to be those guys? Like, I guess I'm curious, my opinion is I think Cade Cunningham has the future to be a potential all-star. Jaden Ivey, I'm not as sold on. I don't quite see it out of him. Again, these guys are very young, so it's hard to just kind of say like, hey, he shouldn't go there because these guys have no potential. But I guess I'm just curious to hear, like, do you guys think they could be all-stars if they're kind of, I guess, fostered in the right environment? Or do they need to can they just not do that, or do they just need to get out of Detroit altogether? I guess I'm not quite sure myself, so I want to hear what you guys have to think about that.
If Cade Cunningham does not make an all-star team in Detroit, it is nothing but a black mark on their franchise and what they're just at the state of the organization in terms of how they can develop young players that they're getting in the draft. Cade Cunningham was a gift-wrapped number 1 overall pick, all-star. And injuries have not worked out. The team around him hasn't been great, but they're also very young. There's a lot of young potential on that team as well. You've got a couple failed number 2 overall picks in there with Marvin Bagley III and, of course, James Wiseman, where there might still be something in there. Very sold on Cade. Not super sold on the other 2. Jaden Ivey, I definitely need to see more of. He could, if you have Jaden Ivey as your volume shooter, Cade Cunningham as your point guard distributor, that could be a very deadly combination, but we need to see it develop. We're theorizing at this point. On paper, It sounds great. We need to see it on the court.
They got to get some reps in on the court and stay healthy in order for maybe this might be a really good spot for Monty Williams.
Yeah, I think I should have described this better earlier, but when I was talking about how Casey coached the Pistons, it seems like Casey's role was kind of being like a teacher of how to be an NBA player. He was kind of teaching like all of those young guys what it is, to kind of be a pro. I think if Monty Williams is in there, his role is going to be, or he's better suited to coach a younger team. Like he's not going to, he'll still have to be a teacher in a lot of respects, but I think he has more tools to understand what like a young team needs to get motivated to actually play instead of sort of what, Casey was like. He had to be a supervisor in a lot of instances. He's dealing with when they had Bagley, Wiseman last year, all of their lottery picks, I don't think they had a guy over 26 years old. Like he is doing a lot to was doing a lot to, I think, give confidence to these young guys that they were, just to like even get them, kind of like a baseline of this is what an NBA game is like. This is what you need to do. Even just like switching things on defense. I think that was more his role. And if Monty's in there, maybe he lights a fire under them and gives them a little bit more like structure on like an offensive philosophy, something like that. I don't know.
We'll have to see. Again, they got to stay healthy. Zach mentioned James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley III. They have like four or five top picks on their team over the last 5 seasons. So, again, yeah, need some reps in. Brian, you sleeping over there?
No, I'm good.
He heard us talking about a non-Knicks team. He just snoozed.
That is probably the most we've ever talked about the Pistons. So.
Yeah. We don't talk much about the Pistons.
Because they're just such a boring team. Like, I'm with Zach. Like, the pressure, everything on Detroit's front office is how Cade's career turns out. Like, if Cade doesn't make an all, like, NBA team or all-star game or whatever, like, they're not really going anywhere. Because then it's just a look. Because, like, it's not even like Cade Cunningham is their first, like, star or, like, homegrown product that they've let down. Like, Killian Hayes was supposed to be something.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the biggest example I can
Stanley
name right
Johnson.
now.
Good point there, Brian.
So it's like Stanley Johnson was another guy too. Like he
Sekou
looks.
Doumbouya.
Like, I
You guys remember
honestly
that
thought
guy?
I thought Stanley Johnson was supposed to be like a better Bruce Brown, like a great versatile defender that can like offer like double-digit scoring, or even I had this for the same guy too, Justice Winslow. I thought all three of them were
That's
kind of
it.
like the same player.
Untapped potential and
Coming
Justice
soon to
Winslow.
BSP. Or do we already have it?
Yeah, but
I mean, hey, I would love
There
to
you go.
interview Justice Winslow.
that'd be dope.
Yeah. Speaking of, coaching, GM, stuff like that, president of basketball operations, we got Bob Myers from the Golden State Warriors has officially stepped down. As Warriors GM, Bob Myers has stepped down. This was, there was a lot of speculation going on with a rumor about maybe him resigning over the last couple of seasons. Why has it finally started? And why now? I mean, the Warriors dynasty, I wouldn't say is technically over. I mean, is there like a contract issue there? Is some sort of like in office issues? I mean, Zach, you might have some insight on this.
It's definitely not over. The way the team it felt like all season the Warriors were kind of a step behind what they could actually do. They were never as good as they were last year this season. For whatever reason, be it just age finally, or we'll call it chemistry issues resulting from, thank you, Andy, an incident in the preseason. It's the team just felt a little bit slow, and the rumors around Bob Myers have been heating up over the past couple of years. They got very hot towards December. I'm not saying the writing was on the wall, but you can kind of see it coming. The Warriors are in an interesting spot. Draymond Green, I believe his contract is up. Klay Thompson's got 1 year left, and that 1 year is at $43 million.
Yikes.
It's honestly... And you're also at a point where ownership isn't... There's a large luxury tax bill coming into effect. This team is going to get broken up at some point. It may not be this year. It might be next year. But there will be... We already see Andre Iguodala. He's done. He retired. It's very likely... Draymond Green's spot on this team next year is not guaranteed. And it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world after how... I'm not going to say how he played in the postseason, but it wasn't what we would expect from him. He looked a bit slower in the postseason. So it's tough. The Warriors are in a very interesting spot, and the vibes were that Bob Myers was going to leave. I'm not sure any particular reason why yet, but I'm sure it'll come out in the next couple weeks, as all things do.
Was his contract up, or did he just? But it was
That
up, so they needed to renegotiate.
Yeah.
Okay.
He needed a new contract, and he ultimately decided against it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I saw his comments saying that it's just time, and then he apparently had like a press conference explaining why now was the right time. But, So it's interesting. I think like Zach brought up a great point about the Warriors team pretty much being broken up, because they pretty much need a pick between one or two of these three guys, between Draymond, Clay, and Jordan Poole,
Trade Jordan Poole.
because Clay has $43 million left for 1 year. Hopefully, for the Warriors' sake, he'll take a rather generous hometown discount if they still want to be competitive. Draymond obviously is a free agent this year. I don't know when Jordan Poole's contract is up, but the Warriors, regardless, need to upgrade that.
They
bench
signed him
anyway.
to a big money deal
Guess-
before the season. He's got
Yeah.
3 more years left.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So probably Poole would be, or Poole at least should be the odd man out, because I think Draymond is still, despite struggling in the playoffs, like Zach mentioned, I still think Draymond is that defensive anchor. Jonathan Kuminga's gone too. I think it'd be safe
I
to
hope
say.
not. I hope
It's-
not.
Considering that the role he hasn't been given, like he's a lot better than the role he's kind of given. I think he's
Yeah.
a pending free agent too, so I'd imagine he's gone. Listen, Bob Myers is a home for you in New York if you want it. We just said we're parting with Scott Perry. I have an
That's
article,
true.
I have an article in pending review for it. Perry wasn't the worst GM. He wasn't the best. Like I detailed his draft history. He's an okay drafter. Like there's times where he drafted really good, like Mitchell Robinson in the second round, Emmanuel Quickly late in the first round, and then he takes Kevin Knox when the next 2 picks are Michael Bridges and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So, I mean, he gave us Jalen Brunson, so I'll be happy for that one. But like Bob Myers, you got with how you can motivate a locker room and put a team together with Leon Rose's CAA connections. I think it's a match made in heaven. So
They're gonna offer a lot of money to get Bob Myers if they want to.
And
well,
not
have
to-
it.
if he wants to take it, I think he has to be the number one option. I mean, I also saw a rumor that the Knicks are kind of want to go in house with this because I think like Leon Rose is kind of like the GM without the title, because it seemed like he had the final say, and that was the main reason Perry wanted to leave. And the Knicks felt that was because Perry didn't have the same voice that he used to. So I'd imagine the Knicks go in house, which I don't know how I feel about. But I think if they look to go out of house and they like take this GM search seriously, I think if Bob Myers wants it, and it's not like a family or health thing. I think Bob Myers has to be the number one candidate.
So, just to give you a heads up here, not to dump water on your Kuminga hopes and dreams, but the Warriors did pick up the rookie option on him and Moody going into the season, so he is under contract to be in Golden State next year. So, unless the offer comes, I don't see any reason the Warriors should get rid of him.
They should just get rid of Poole, and that's it. I mean, that's...
If they can find a taker, that's the thing.
look,
We
a
haven't
team.
seen it.
Jordan
That was a
Poole is
major
23 years old.
Pull to Detroit.
Like,
My career.
just piss Zach off more.
Like, for what?
Jesus
For who?
Christ. James Wiseman.
Isaiah Stewart.
James Wiseman.
Okay.
Get their
Isaiah
second
Stewart.
overall
Isaiah
pick
Stewart
back.
does have some drink
No,
in him.
You know,
That's funny.
Yeah, Isaiah
No,
Stewart could be the
but
next
I really
one.
feel like I feel like a team that looks at Jordan Poole and thinks, "Hey, he's really young. He's got a pretty long contract. I think he can definitely. There's definitely room for improvement to see him be our franchise player, and we can definitely offer some assets for that. Not the Rockets, please don't. We don't want Jordan Poole.
are you sure?
I will say that as a collective. Myself, along with beat writers who write for the Rockets and get paid for it, we don't want Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole is younger than James Harden. He's also skinnier.
Well, hold on. Jordan Poole balls out with baddies courtside. There's some baddies in Houston.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
I was going to say,
Houston,
what are
strip
his
clubs
strip club
everywhere.
tendencies? That was my next question. Was like, is he going to play better? Like,
There's a ton of strip
that's
clubs
why
in
Harden
Houston.
wants to go back. I think he misses getting his free dances or whatever. I don't talk to women.
Yeah, he wants
Yeah,
his
well,
basketball freedom.
Harden wants a 4-year, $200 million contract too.
I think
Don't forget about his basketball freedom, Jeremy. Come on.
He wants to be himself.
I actually think
stupid.
I've got the vision now. I see it. It's all clear to me.
Can we just end this podcast
James,
and
Harden,
go to
James
the?
Harden comes down to take Jordan Poole under his wing. It's beautiful.
He's
What
gonna
could go
eat him.
Oh
wrong?
my god.
Pick and roll between Jordan Poole and Sengun. Oh,
I mean,
That could be fun.
that's actually fun.
Jordan Poole
I even though if that is a joke, it shouldn't be a joke. It's actually a really good
No,
thing
I'm
to
being
see.
serious.
I think it'd be
Jokes
nice.
aside, Jordan Poole is just like one little bit of getting his shot back, and
The rest is history.
his shot was off this year. I don't know what
Yeah.
it was. His shot was off this year.
It's always been off. He shoots like 40%
Last year it was great.
from the field.
Last year it was on. It was on at the right time.
Well, that's what happens when
I
you
got
have when you have a contract year. You play your best basketball. Then when you get that contract, you kind of settle off a little bit. That's what happens with most players.
That is true. Eric Dampier, shout out.
Yeah. Let's close off this podcast with Aaron Gordon's diss track of Dwayne Wade
9 out of 10.
in honor of the Nuggets and Heat, and of course the long grudge that Dwayne Wade did not vote for Aaron Gordon in the NBA Slam Dunk contest. Let's get this
Who
out.
knows all the
Highway
words?
robbery.
Who's rapping this?
Who knows all the words?
Silver told me I deserve to go. Didn't get the trophy, but I got something to hold. Please, give me
Bro.
more. My
These
soul.
nuts.
Yeah, give me as a villain. Nah,
Bro, like his flow is so cringe.
Big chillin', paint me as a villain. He's gonna be the villain in
Yeah,
my
the villain.
The
Like,
Heat
it's just-
should play
it's
that.
kind of it's kind of like like it's kind of this, it's a little
Zesty.
it's a little
It's-
little zesty there.
Towards the Lonzo Ball side of NBA players creating rap music, it is more closer to Lonzo Ball than it is Damian Lillard. I
Yeah.
think we're all in agreement there.
I think it's closer to Cat.
He rapped?
I don't even want to
No,
acknowledge it.
Cat's voice.
Oh, okay.
I
you
don't
heard
want
it?
to acknowledge
Have you heard him before? Zach, pull it up.
Cat rapping. I'm not.
No,
I
no,
did not-
this is-
He meant,
Cat's
his
voice.
rapping
Oh, just a
skills,
Cat
his
interview, okay.
voice, Yeah, no.
Does
His
Cat,
voice,
change his
dude.
voice depending on the interview?
I got you.
Yeah, he.
Yes. If it's an NBA media interview, he talks like this. If it's
Or
with
he's
Paul
live
George and like him streaming, oh.
So if he was talking to Rachel Nichols,
Yeah,
how would he
if you can
talk?
pull it
Jeremy?
up.
Give me a sample.
And like after all that, you got fired from ESPN?
Wow. All right. Take a shot at Rachel Nichols now.
Okay, I got awkward post game interview from
That
House
works.
of Highlights.
That works. Let's go.
All right, let's hear it.
Carl Anthony Towns from the very first play. Carl, describe your emotions and your approach coming into this game.
Just came here to do my job.
That's not
He
his
does
voice,
not
bro.
sound like that.
He's like trying to sound like
Just came to do my
Brown.
job.
Just came to do my
Just happy
job.
that got the win. You can tell I'm
Streams,
not that
right?
excited because we got more to do. So
Look at his like mouth
happy
angle.
about this.
Jeez, that's a good game though.
Enjoy the moment, but
33-14.
it's gonna be a series, and we got to fight. We got to fight. Jobs
You gotta
on us.
fight.
You didn't have
All right, Zach. Now
Yeah.
pull up one of his streams. So that is Carl Anthony Towns. If you're an NBA casual, if you know Cat and you've seen him in other venues, this is what he really sounds like.
This is great. Where is Rye?
Where
Rye's doing
is
something,
Rye?
but-
Yeah, he's kind of got like a
Yeah, I'm
bubbly
going to
voice.
Rye. We're gonna host Rye, but when you see Rye, you tell him, bro, stop playing around.
Oh God, I hear it. There's like that twang, like that surfer twang.
Like, oh
Yeah,
my
keep
God.
keep going.
Like the vocal
Yeah.
fry, whatever it's called.
I forgot when you press host, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's right away.
I'm all for having a broadcast.
I'll cut the rest of this, so don't worry.
What is that laugh?
Yeah, man, I'm all for having. Like,
What is this laugh?
And let it in.
I love it. I love
Halfway
it.
done.
All right, bro. Let me get this power pack thing in. I'll be back in like 15 minutes.
Chair stream.
Carl, you're still live.
That's my
This is why Jimmy Butler went to Philadelphia. Late.
He saw this stream and was like,
no,
"Nah, I
no.
can't do this anymore."
He saw the one. Was it the Cat Ben Simmons stream?
Dream?
Was it?
Was Cat ever live streaming with Ben Simmons playing like PUBG?
I don't
or
know,
something
maybe.
Like that?
Maybe.
That sounds something like they do though.
That does.
Yeah.
I know Ben
right?
Simmons was streaming.
Two first overall picks. They don't have the dog in them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Could you imagine how he's talking to like
This was the day before Jimmy Butler beat them in a scrimmage with the second squad.
Oh,
bust
yeah.
y'all ass?
Ben Simmons roast the Hawks while trying to convince Carl Anthony Towns to play more PUBG. Iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
That just
Wait.
right. I love the picture of him like trying to post up.
Oh my God. Okay.
DeMarcus Cousins, where he's like trying his ass off, and like Boogie's just standing there, just like, if you know what I'm talking about.
But yes, no, I'm all for having like you have your normal voice, whatever, and maybe you have a broadcast voice.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
okay. I'm gonna post it in the chat, Zach, and you're gonna go on it. Okay.
Sounds good.
Oh man.
Oh God.
It's a TikTok.
Imagine if that's how he was like talking on the court to like Anthony Edwards or like Mike Conley, like pass the ball. My God, I'm open.
Love it. Okay, here we go.
This is what movies is made of.
This is what movies
This is what movies is made of. 4 months away, I come back 2 free throws. Don't worry about it. I got that.
It's crazy because after all that, they took them off the court, put them even closer to the locker room. So I was like,
It's pretty.
That's a
damning
pretty bad
evidence.
switch up.
Yes.
That's a huge just like from here deep voice purposely to like over here like natural.
Anthony,
voice.
pass the ball. My God, I'm in the post.
After all that, Jimmy, you leave us and go to Philly?
He's literally saying that. And he's like sitting there like with that purse in his hand.
Okay, we will we'll conclude this here. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Cut the Nets episode 25. We hope that the NBA Finals is a good one. Please, we don't want the Nuggets to sweep them. That'll be like a boring NBA Finals for sure.